just start off at the beginning of this story by turning to our handy Webster's Collegiate Dictionary and looking up the definition of what a school is. A school is an institution for teaching children. Any place or means of learning or discipline. Place for lectures, especially in the Middle Ages. The process of being educated in institutions for teaching the young, usually not including colleges. A place for instruction in any branch of knowledge. A faculty for specialized education. Okay, that's the definition of a school. So why don't you tell me what happened here? Not Potleaf gets 6th grader in big trouble. An 11-year-old at Bedford Middle School was suspended for 364 days after being caught with a substance that tested negative for marijuana. And by substance, ladies and gentlemen, what they actually mean is a leaf. This kid had a leaf. Okay, let me just read some of this to you. At first blush, it sounds like an open and shut school disciplinary matter and a zero tolerance age. Some school children claim another student bragged about having marijuana. They inform school administrators. An assistant principal finds a leaf and a lighter in a boy's knapsack. The student suspended for a year. Sheriff's deputy files marijuana possession charges in juvenile court. All of the above and more happened last September to 11-year-old son of Bedford County residents Bruce and Linda Bays. He was a 6th grader in the Gifted and Talented program at Bedford Middle School. There's only one problem. Months after the fact, the couple learned the substance wasn't marijuana. He had a leaf in his backpack. And the prosecutor dropped the juvenile court charges because the leaf field tested negative 3 times. They tried really hard to test this leaf and make it be marijuana. They really tried, guys, but 3 times and it failed. Their son remains out of school due to return Monday on strict probation, but in the meantime, it's been 6 months. And apparently he's now withdrawn socially and under the care of a pediatric psychiatrist for panic attacks and depression. All because a school, the people that are supposed to teach our children, see, that's the definition of school. We just looked it up, so now we know that's what school means. These people are supposed to be in charge. They're supposed to be the smart ones. They're supposed to know what they're doing. They're supposed to be teaching our children. These are the people. And they're so stupid, they don't know what a leaf is, and they don't know if it's marijuana or not. And they go ahead and have kids arrested and charged with things and taken to juvenile court and kicked out of school for 6 months and screw the kid up so bad now that he has to go to a pediatric psychiatrist. They probably got him on freaking psychiatric medications. Why? Because the people running our schools, the ones in charge of teaching our children, our nation's future, are so dumb they don't know the difference between a leaf and marijuana. An 11-year-old boy was smart enough to pull one over on these freaking adults who are supposed to be running things. Way to go, assistant principal of Bedford County. You're a moron. How you got to be assistant principal blows my mind, because that means you had to work your way up to that position somehow. Which means at some point you are in direct charge of teaching children, and now you're in charge of the teachers that teach the children, and you're too stupid to know what a regular leaf is versus a marijuana leaf on an 11-year-old. By the way, where would an 11-year-old get a full marijuana leaf anyways? This is just ridiculous. The couple, by the way, of this kid, they're both school teachers, and they've now filed a federal lawsuit against this school. And they're alleging that they violated the due process rights under the Constitution because they kicked him out of school for something they couldn't prove that he did. And they filed marijuana possession charges against a kid who was in possession of just a regular leaf. He probably just got it off a tree or something, you know? And by the way, when the parent asked to see the leaf, the police told her it was already submitted into evidence and they could never see the leaf. They would not be able to see the leaf. And they had never seen it. They wouldn't show it to them. They refused to let them see it. There were 3 different stories about how this kid even got this leaf. The kid claims he doesn't even know how the leaf got into his book bag, and the kids that turned him in and said he was bragging about it, it looks like what happened is they stuffed a leaf and a lighter in there and then went and told a teacher he had marijuana to get him in trouble. They also made some tale about how his dad grows marijuana all over their backyard, just everywhere and all this. And the assistant principal believed these kids over this other kid who was in the talented and gifted program. They probably just targeted him for bullying like a bunch of 11-year-old douchebags. The point is, the school took it so far as to have this kid suspended and have him charged with possession of marijuana. Gee, I guess we better err on the side of guilty until proven innocent and screw a kid up permanently for life. See, that's the problem with this country, okay, guys? The problem is that these are children. In every other aspect of their lives, we treat them like kids. They're not allowed to vote. They can't buy alcohol. They can't drive a car until a certain age. There's a lot of stuff we don't let them do. Why? Because they're children. Why are they children? Because they don't have adult judgment. If they did, we would trust them with all these things. Isn't that how it works? That's why there's a difference between adults and kids. Because the adults are supposed to be raising the children up to be independent adults. But for a while, they're still kids. But then we put them in situations where we expect them to suddenly have the forethought to be able to comprehend the fact that the adults around them are stupid and can't know the difference between a little kid playing a joke who's 11 years old and reality, okay? We expect them to then be adults. Suddenly now an 11-year-old's an adult with some marijuana and we gotta, screw him up. Or if he bites his Pop-Tart into a gun, suddenly now he's an adult in the eyes of the law because he had a fake gun at school and may be shot by police for that. See? It doesn't make sense what we're doing. We're screwing up our children. This is the dumbest story I've heard about in a really long time.